What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different. If you've seen my videos before, you'll know that I like to post highlights from the coaching sessions I do in my Discord in the form of replay reviews. Oftentimes, I find myself giving a lot of the same advice to different players, and a huge majority of the people I coach are somewhere in the champ ranks. So today, instead of posting a replay review, I wanted to look at 7 differences between champ and grand champ. Please keep in mind, these are my opinions. Obviously, Rocket League is a versatile game where tons of different playstyles exist, but this is based on tons of the coaching sessions I've done, and without further ado, enjoy. Number 1, consistency. This should come as a surprise to no one. Every time I do a coaching session, one of the questions I ask the player is, tell me about your strengths and weaknesses. And while the strengths tend to vary from player to player, one of the most common weaknesses, and I'm talking 9 times out of 10, is general consistency. People tend to know the mistakes they're making, yet they're still happening. Consistency in this game essentially just boils down to the hours you put into it. Unlike first-person shooter games like CS, Valorant, and Call of Duty, Rocket League has 0 transferable skills. Everyone who plays this game has to learn from scratch, and therefore, your consistency comes from the hours you put into it. A great example of this is if you've ever played Ranked or just looked at clips online. You can pretty quickly start to see that it's really hard to know if what you're watching is a low-ranked player who's peaking or a higher-ranked player who's just messing around. The true mark of a good player in this game is someone who can go into training packs and score the goals as intended in as little tries as possible. If you look at something like Double Tap Playground, you can pretty quickly start to see if you compare a champ player versus a grand champ player doing it side by side, which one is which. Even if some of them hit crazy shots or crazy angles, the grand champs are the ones who are going to do it in fewer tries. And the reason I bring it up is that champ players tend to neglect practice and custom trainings. Whether you have access to the workshops or not, as you start reaching champ ranks, that's when you start to think that you have the entire toolkit that's needed, and you stop putting as much time into practicing. It's very reminiscent for me when I was a diamond, and I could do a ceiling shot, but that doesn't mean I did in-game. So in conclusion, this big difference is really within the practice that you put in. Not just hours spent playing the game, but doing things like aim training by Coco if that's accessible. And if not, doing larger training packs and factoring them into your practice routine at least once a day, so that when it comes to your games, you're not losing because you accidentally missed a shot that you feel like you should have hit. Consistency is everything, and everything else on this list builds off of that moving forward, so that's why I wanted to talk about this and put it first. Number 2, ball control. This is the last thing on the list that will sound obvious, but I put it in because it comes up in every single coaching session. When compared to Grand Champ players, champs throw away the ball 10 times more. It comes from a sense of panic on defense or a lack of visualization on the field for where your opponents are, where these players will tend to hit the ball very hard and far away from themselves just to try and buy time, get boost, or clear the ball from a position that looks dangerous. Grand Champs are typically way better at seeing the field and understanding when they have space and then using that space. This is an area that you can work on just by being conscious of it. Taking a look at some of these clips, you can see that when you're given space on defense, for example, it can actually be incredibly beneficial to slow down and keep the ball close to yourself so that when you get challenged, you hit it over the defender instead of giving the ball right to them. Grand Champs do this way better than champ players, and I've seen it in every single coaching session I've run. You should really watch your own replays to start recognizing this and getting in the habit of looking for where the defense is before you commit. Number 3, effective backboard defense. This area might be the main one where defensive mistakes are coming into play, mainly in how quickly a player gets to the ball. You should be hitting the ball before it gets a chance to bounce off your backboard, but the longer you give it after it's already bounced, the more dangerous the situation is. Just listen to this coaching session. It's just when it's floating this way, as you climb the ranks, especially into GC1, you're gonna see that when you're caught looking up at a ball that's bouncing off your backboard, eventually there are going to be people flying in way faster than you expect ready to score. This is almost exactly the example we saw in your game, right? But watch this guy, okay? This is the important guy to watch here. He's gonna go get our boost. He sees the ball bouncing off the backboard. He wants it, and that's what I was talking about. A good player is going to punish you on these unless you jump early, and I hit it just away from it. Look at how close he is, right? I need to be up immediately, and a good player is going to punish you if you don't get the ball out of there quickly. What you have to be able to do, sometimes jump before you're even ready to hit it and adjust later on. Your primary focus should be to hit the ball as early as possible, whether that's before it bounces off your backboard or as soon as possible after the bounce. You'll notice that in Grand Champ games, the ball bounces off the backboard way less, and that's because there's almost always a defender, and the consequences of not being there are devastating. Number 4, timing your challenges. This is probably the hardest area to improve in on this list, and that's because it's so intricate and so many factors come into play. So here's just a quick list of things to look out for when you are timing your challenges. First things first, look for your teammate. If they look like they're gonna go, play back on defense because you don't want to double commit. Second, you want to look for your earliest possible opening. If the opponent's controlling the ball, you're way better off fake challenging and trying to get them to commit to a touch so that you have a much easier time recovering the ball. Don't hesitate. Champ players can be really fast, so usually the person who's jumping first gets the ball first. The best times to go are right after your teammate commits to a challenge or after the opponents take their first touch on the ball to try and regain control. You want to deny your opponents time to set up and take shots that they're comfortable with. The best way to get good at this is to play a lot of ones. Whether you like it or not, it forces you to challenge and challenge well, otherwise you're getting punished. Number 5, playing on low boost. I purposefully didn't call this one boost management because this is not just saying that you need to grab your small pads, which you should. This is more to say that Grand Champs are much more comfortable staying relevant on the play with low boost, and that's a direct factor of practicing efficiency. You can see in training packs like this that the sole purpose of the level is to teach you how to move as efficiently as possible in the air. As you progress through the level, your boost refills when you hit certain checkpoints, and it teaches you a lot about fighting gravity, keeping momentum, and fluttering boost. Knowing how to do this well will translate into your games and allow you to stay a lot more relevant without abandoning the play. If you constantly feel like you're out of position or you're just getting beat to the ball, it's probably because you're going to the big boost too much. Regardless of whether you have the workshops, you should always work on efficiency and playing on low boost. Number 6, speed and recoveries. I intentionally put this after number 5 because mastering one of them will help you master the other. In my coaching, I've found that champs spend way less time at supersonic speed than most Grand Champs do. It's not a problem when you're positioning to take over the ball, but more often than not, I see players getting back on defense without reaching full speed, or just being slow in general. Sometimes I'll show players a game from my perspective like this one, and their main comment is always, "Wow, this feels really fast." And that's because I always focus on getting the trails behind my car and getting up to full speed whenever I've made a decision to get to my next spot. Being able to get up to full speed quickly and use your momentum to maintain that full speed is how you're going to start to outpace your opponents and stop feeling slow on the field. Mastering things like wave dashes, speed flips, and other small optimizations are gonna be the most effective ways to do this on low boost and help you play a lot faster. Number 7, when to position aggressively. I saved this one for last because I think it's one of the best tips I have, and I also think it's something that not a lot of champ players know naturally. What I'm talking about here is the willingness to go to the opposite side of the field from your teammate when they get full control. Champ players will often complain that their teammates don't pass them the ball, but one of the things that they fail to realize is that it's usually because they're not getting in their teammates' line of sight, or they're just too far back to make a good pass to. If it looks like your teammate has the situation under control, you should focus on getting in a good spot to receive a pass. Even if the pass isn't coming, it at least gives your teammate the extra option to outplay the defense. Not to mention that when you follow your teammate up the same side of the field, shooting becomes a lot harder. Grand Champs do this incredibly effectively, and they do so because they're also good at all the skills mentioned previously on this list. If you're comfortable on low boost and quickly recovering, then positioning aggressively feels a lot less risky, as you can just get back on defense as you read the play. That concludes my list of the 7 major differences between Champ and Grand Champ. I'm a completely free coach, so if you want a coaching session for yourself, you can hit the Discord link in the description. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.